Sorry.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out.
Yes.
Hello. Oh, look how cute you are. Welcome back to
Favorite
episode
hot mess.
2 of This is Bullshit. This
Hello,
is the
Melanie. How are
podcast with
you?
Color and Chat with
How are
Joanna.
you? I'm gonna take
Joanna, hello. Say hello. And myself, Rebecca from Crafting and Crime Daily. Don't make sure you're subscribed to both channels and you hit the like button. Today
Yes,
is
please
episode 2.
do.
So give us some grace. We're still navigating where this is going to go. But I would just say after the shock, if you're watching back on the replay, let us know you were here too. After the shock, I'm going to say kind of wore off. It hasn't really worn off, but
I haven't worn off.
I kept searching myself for how did this happen? How did this happen? And the only conclusion
Well,
that
you know
I
what? He
can
learned how to rig
well,
an election. He had 10 years to
no, we had
learn
a
how to rig
full
an
and
election.
fair election.
It
So
was not fair.
this is why I have my
I
co-host.
disagree. It was not fair. It was not fair.
So
No.
the conclusion I came to is that this country is not ready for a strong woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Because there's no other explanation. There's no other rational explanation for what occurred to have occurred.
No.
And I thought about my life. You know, I am where I am because I'm a strong, independent woman. But that's also why I am not married. Men are intimidated by me. They've been intimidated by me my entire life. I didn't want to be that woman that cooked dinner every night, that, brought you your house shoes.
Or wore a poodle skirt and had a martini at the door.
I don't even
we're
know the
going back
poodles.
to those days. We're going to be wearing poodle skirts and, hello, darling, how was your day? Because my day meant nothing. I mean,
well, I remember there was one day.
And I took the children to church, and I took them to church again. And we're going back to those days. I mean, this is what I believe this old man thinks. I think he thinks he's going to bring back the 50s. But what he doesn't know about the 50s is that in the 50s, we couldn't have a credit card. You, as a woman, could not have a credit card. You could not have a bank account. Your husband could have all the money, but he'd have to give it to you in little piles like Tony Soprano. Like, honey, I want to go shopping today. Can I have this much? Tony never gave her a bank account. Forgive me. I've got a thing under my head because I fell off the bed today. And I hit my head on the dress, but I'm trying not to have a
independent woman fell off the bed.
I fell off the bed. I was trying to decorate. Let me say hello to some of the people in the chat. Melanie, My darling, I'm so glad you're here. Jerry is here today. Hi, Jerry. Jerry, we're going to talk about women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is not
So, I
every
mean, if you're a
episode,
guy, if Christopher
every,
Colassa pops in, he's welcome to stay.
of course.
But because he respects women, I'm very, very fortunate. I have a husband who does respect women. Now,
Well,
he says sly things behind my back, but he's never had the
but
guts
you
to
know
say
what? You
sly
won't
things.
find a man that says he doesn't respect a woman. They all say that they respect women. And I will tell you up front, this is not the subject of every one of our podcasts. This is just for tonight. We're just going to take a deep
Yeah,
dive.
just for the night.
Yeah.
We're just
But
going to vent a
when I was
little.
married, I was working as a registered nurse, one of my many jobs, taking care of sick little babies. Sometimes you're
Wow.
late. I remember
Oh
I
my
saved
God.
I had these twins that were born, and I had to get them to a higher level of care. I had to transport them. And as I get to the transport hospital, this baby codes and dies. Now I've got to get the second
No.
over there without dying. And I call my husband and he says, "Where are you?" And I said, I'm in the middle of something really intense. I'm going to be late getting home. You're going to have to feed the kids. And he says, "Don't bother coming home." Don't.
Ah, I'm just saving the life of a
And I'm going to
human
say, this is
child.
why we can't have
I'm
nice things.
sorry I can't make you dinner. You self, I mean, really,
Well, that's why he became an ex-husband. So,
you know.
but
Well, my
even
husband, I
throughout
mean,
all my
there were
career, I
many
became an attorney, and every law firm that I went into was run by men.
men always.
Even in this day and age when most women, I'm hoping that it's changed. I know there's a lot of women out there in law school, a lot of women, but then they choose to get married, have families. So the men are still running the law firms. And boy, they would not give me an inch, not an inch. It had
Yeah,
to be them. It's me. They're
it's a man's world.
puffing up
And
the chest. And I'm like,
I did the same thing with
"You're
a
an
friend of mine.
idiot."
It's a man's world. It's a man's world, but I can pull 40 feet of hose. You know,
Right. Right.
you can't, you failed. You only pulled 30 feet of hose, so you didn't get certified, but I did. And you know what? They never talked to me for the rest of the day.
Yeah, they're
Because
intimidated by it.
it was my fault that weak little legged limb noodle arm son of a bitch could not pull 40 feet of hose.
Right.
And I was a girl and I had boobs and I had thighs and I mean you try, these things are 10 pounds each and you try pulling 40 feet of hose.
So
Yeah.
I had this
Inside 2 minutes.
I had this
So
one attorney that I worked for, George. I'll never forget George. If you're out there, I don't even know if George is still alive. I'm sitting at my desk and he comes out and he's
we're
hollering.
not talking about George my dog. We love George.
No.
Love
Yeah.
George.
And I mean, women are leaping over their desk to say, Mr. I don't remember what his last name, Mr. So-and-so. Oh, Mr. So-and-so. And I'm like, "George, what is your problem?" And he's like, "Excuse me, it's Mr. So-and-so," whatever it was. And I said, "Excuse me, step in here a minute. Come in my office a second."
Yeah.
Now, this was my boss. And I said, "On what planet are you Mr. to me?" "No, sir. You're George. I'm Rebecca. Okay. I went to law school, same as you. Okay. Same curriculum, Mr. whatever you want to call yourself. I will not be calling you Mr. I will not be leaping over my desk. I will not silence my stapler so you can have a nice afternoon. Okay? Do we have that straight? I didn't work at that firm very
You
long.
had it hard, girl. You had it hard.
I'm telling
And
you,
you
it
would
was
seem to
bad.
be intimidated with
I
me
have to
because
be
you're
the one
so
to try this
tall.
case because
You know,
I'm
I
Mr.
mean,
So-and-so.
I can't believe it. I
Oh my
can't
God.
believe that you had
Hi,
it
nut
so hard.
nuts. Hi, chaotic. Hi, anxiety art. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Muff.
We
Oh,
are
Muffness.
lamenting
Hi, I had
and
to go to the doctor the other day, so I had to cut you short. I'm so sorry.
yeah,
I'm
we're
so
kvetching
sorry.
about
I'm back. I'm
why
back.
this country
Girl.
cannot accept a strong, confident, independent woman in the White House. What are they afraid of?
Um, you know, I think that other countries do have women that are in places of power. We have had Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher is a historical figure. Now,
Mhm.
granted, she went down kind of a little slow. Okay. I mean, she wasn't that popular when she left. But Margaret Thatcher changed history. Margaret Thatcher was a wonderful prime minister. We have prime ministers in the Philippines. We have prime
Yep.
ministers in Indonesia. We have women prime ministers even in India. India, where, like, burqa, you know, like, don't show my face, burqa. Oh, no, no,
Oh my
no.
God.
There's a woman who is an actual gazillionaire, and she is the most marvelous person. She goes out among the children. She wears a scarf, but she does it out of respect for her country. But she has changed the world. Women can now drive a car. Can you imagine having your husband with 3 Rolls Royces, but you're not allowed to drive a car?
I
We
have
are
I
going
have
backwards,
girlfriends that
people.
still don't drive a car.
And now
Their
they say
husbands
they
drive
don't
them
want
around.
us to now they say they don't want us to provide any kind of protection for the military, while these women are gunnery sergeants. These women know how to carry an MK, and they can shoot the top of a bottle top. I mean, these women are tough, and they are having their jobs, and not only their jobs, but their benefits and their families. And if they're lesbian, God forbid, you know,
Mhm.
I mean, he's going to throw them out of the army in 2 seconds flat. And this woman is a commandeered officer. She is an officer. She is a sergeant. And yes, fought in Afghanistan. She has a Purple Heart, but yet
Mhm.
she's not good enough to be in the army. She's not good enough to be a representative. And these are our heroes. My father was a hero. My father fought World War II. He even lied about his age to get into the army
Oh,
because
wow.
he
Oh, my
he
dad
saw
was
Pearl
we were
Harbor.
both Army brats. Look at that. My dad was in the
Yes,
Army. We were
we
Army
both
brats
are.
together.
We both are. That's what makes us
That
strong like
explains
we
a
are.
lot.
We don't take any crap because we're
That's
army
right.
brats. No, we won't take any crap.
We had that shit on a
So
shingle. We know what it's like. Yeah.
yeah, we've eaten shit on a shingle, and we've suffered,
We survived.
and we were free range kids. We were told to get out of the house at 10 o'clock in the morning and don't come back till the street lights come back on, and nobody ever kidnapped us, which I'm offended by. I don't know. Why didn't anybody want me? I was a
That-
cute
That's a
kid.
topic for another show.
But I was the alpha of the block. You
Yeah.
know, I set the rules for the day. Okay, today we're going to go out animal hunting and we're going to find squirrels and we're going to find, and whoever finds a squirrel first gets a lollipop. That's all I had to give was a lollipop, because my mother, my dear sweet mother, here's a lollipop. Have a good day. I'll see you when the lights come on. But then I turned 8 and my father bought me a boat, a 8-foot boat, a little sailboat. And I got my 140-pound Rottweiler, who I found, who I almost got kicked out of Catholic school for because he was just a little puppy and he was in the yard. In New York, you don't have grass. Everything's concrete. So the yard was concrete, and this nasty little blonde boy was throwing rocks at it and trying to hurt it. And so I went up and I didn't know I was breaking his nose, but I went like this and my fist went right up and I broke his nose. And there I was with this puppy in my lap and my father in his uniform, my 6'3" father comes in, Joe the cop, Joe the New York cop, with the car, because I was too afraid to call my mother, because my mother would have had, oh, now you're going to hell for sure. You're going to hell for sure. What have you done? You've made the nuns upset with you. When my father came and got me, and he saw me sitting outside of Mother Mary Perpetual Hell's office, and he he was afraid of nuns too. My big hero father was afraid of
Speaking of
nuns.
strong, independent women, they became nuns.
Except for those bitches, he wouldn't go near them. Pardon me if I'm calling anybody who's not a bitch, but I'm sure you've all called each other one at a time or another. But anyway, my father went in and he stood up for me and he said, innocent animal, this boy has no business hurting an innocent animal. It's just a little stray puppy. But anyway, I got to take him home. And I have a picture of us where I'm like holding him and I've got this mean look on my face, like, and I've got a bandage on him. It was my first EMS rescue.
Oh,
Yeah, because I put a bandage on him. And his name was Mr. Potts. And anyway, so Mr. Potts got bigger and bigger and bigger. My mother was
yeah.
like, this dog is eating us out of house and home. What are we to do? So I would literally go around with my wagon, and my mother would make like these big batches of tuna fish, and I would make tuna sandwiches, and I would go around with my wagon, and I would sell the tuna sandwiches for $10 and buy dog food for my dog, because I didn't want her to get rid of him because he was such a burden, because he was eating us at a house and home. But Potts and I took a boat ride, and we took a boat ride on my boat, a little sailboat. And there was a huge storm coming into the Hudson River. And my father made one phone call. He had the entire police department looking for me. He had the Coast Guard. He had the he had the, he had the water police. He had the taxis. He had everybody looking for this little girl in this little boat with a bologna sandwich and a peanut butter and jelly for my dog and treats for my dog and one little bottle of water for us. But the storm went around us, so we were never hurt. But when I came back into the dock, because we lived in Queens and there's a lot of water, we lived on the water. And I swear to God, I must have seen 500 cops.
Oh, were you in trouble?
Oh, girl. I'm only 8 years old. How much can you do to me? You know, and they were all like clapping, and they were hugging each other. That Joe's little girl made it, and that she wasn't dead, and she wasn't drowned, and the dog made it. And then my mother, my crazy 5 foot mother, she reaches into my father's gun holder. And as soon as we get, the dog and me off of the boat, she shoots that boat till there were no bullets left. She said, "No, we won't be having any more of that." Now that is a woman who she was the head of her age. She wanted to serve communion in the Catholic Church. They wouldn't let her. They
Because
wouldn't
she
let
was
her.
a woman?
But she was a woman. Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
It's a man's world there. You're not going to, all she was allowed to do was iron the linens and take care of the children. And when we were in Grapevine, Texas, there was a shortage of priests. And I showed up. I wrote an application, but I didn't write Joanna. I just wrote Joe. And they accepted it. And I got to serve communion. And I knew my mother was somewhere going, "Hallelujah," to just see what my daughter just did.
That's
I gotta
brilliant.
see what my daughter just did. So I do believe we are coming. I really, really believe with all my heart that next year we will have a woman president. I don't believe it will
Next
be Kamala.
term.
I think
Next term.
Kamala got burned twice, and she's just like, "Bitch, you on your own."
I do want to see it happen during my
I do,
lifetime.
and I don't know what kind of woman would be able to show her strength, because Kamala showed her strength, and she ran a clean election, which was, I think, her biggest mistake. You needed to get down in the dirt, and you need to tell people. Let me tell you about this pervert. Let me tell you about this man. And she didn't. She tried to stay classy. And I'm telling you, when you're dealing with a guy uh like Drumpy, you're not dealing with anybody classy. He will do anything.
I mean,
He
what
will
does it
do
say
anything.
about a country where the president lives is on a registered sex offender address?
Yes.
Like
And
your
not
address,
only is he on
like
the
if
reg,
you look up where the registered sex
he's got
offenders
like
are,
6 of
it's
them
at the
now.
White House.
The White
What?
House is a sex offender address. Look it
Yes.
up. I swear.
What kind of country is that? But
April is talking. April is saying, "Oh my God, I thought she was gonna say pew the dog."
no, she's not saying
No,
that.
she wasn't gonna shoot the dog.
No.
She loved the dog. She loved the dog. He turned out to be her favorite love of a dog. Surprisingly, because when I brought him home, she was like, "What is that?" and "Get it out of me house."
So
You
I
know.
remember my ex-husband. I came home and I said, I got into law.
Laura Noam.
I,
Laura Noam is who April's talking about.
oh,
Yeah, prayers for the next 4 years, people. The next 2 years, I'm hoping for, because that's when we have the primaries,
I
and we
I don't
still
I
have a
don't think it's
piece
going
of
to
the
be that
house.
soon. I don't think there'll be another woman that soon. I think they're going to
No,
have to
I
wait.
don't think there will be either.
They won't do it
But
again.
there could be a man that is not mentally unstable. I mean, they were talking about, they were talking about JD Vance, and he was he was elected, and then he said, "You know what? I don't think I want this job." And he reclined, and then they showed actually, if you ever watch Penguin 6, he's a channel. He rides all over DC and he just shows cool shit, but he's got credentials so he can get into things. I mean, he was with the Pentagon for 20 years. So they let him have his credential card. So he was in the credential office watching them take JD Vance's name off of the door. It was like, well, and the guy said, "This is easy," and he was Hispanic, and he was so funny. He goes, "This is easy. The glue hasn't even dried yet." I was
Well,
laughing so
my
hard, I
son,
was crying.
my son said something to me that kind of resonated. Do you, in your entire life of presidents, do you recall any of them that have actually changed your life? And I will say that just one, and that was Biden, because I got
Dr. Joe
a
Biden
house
was,
mortgage full of student loans forgiven through
she
Joe
did,
Biden.
she did,
And
she did.
I have to thank him for that.
I also find, and you know, this is pushing the limit a little bit, but I also found Laura Bush to be a wonderful first lady. Laura Bush, um, in Texas, we were all scared to death. We thought, you know, 9/11 happened, and who were they going to hit next? I mean, as soon as the first building went down, I ran. I had a car, but I ran to my son's school and
Yeah.
I got him out of school. And they were like, why are you taking him out of school? And I said, turn on your TV. And they didn't know. And
Oh,
women
wow.
teachers started freaking out everywhere. And I said, no, I want my son home with me. Plus, we had people who lived upstairs from us who were Asian. They were Persian. They're from Pakistan. And they were terrified. They owned the 7-Eleven at the end of the street, which I used to go to and take David for his little morning donut every single day. They crushed it. They completely demolished the pardon me. I always get online and get the sniffles. I don't know
Me
why.
too. Me
What
too.
is it?
I always blamed it on Jennifer Roberts. I said I was allergic to her, but she's not here, so and I've still got a runny nose. I don't know. It's just
Jennifer
maybe it's
Roberts'
because we're
fault.
laughing too much. I don't know.
April, you're off the hook. It's Jennifer's fault.
So I mean, I think
Kennedy's
there's
wife
not going to be.
Kennedy's wife was a historian, and I loved her because she saw them putting this Austin Powers hideous furniture in the White House. And she said, no, no, no. She very quietly, she never had to yell or scream or anything. She was very demure. I feel a little bad for her because I don't think her husband was kind to her. I think that he had a lot of pain. He had spinal issues. So he took a lot of drugs and he drank a lot and he was disloyal, you know? I
Mm.
mean, he had Marilyn, he had all of them. He had
You know,
all of the girls.
who I absolutely love, like my idol of strong women, Michelle Obama.
Oh, Michelle Obama is wonderful.
Oh,
Michelle Obama walks the
can we
walk
like
and talks the
bottle her
talk.
up?
I know I want to
I'm
say
like,
Rosa Parks, but every time I think of Rosa Parks, I think of um uh you're gonna laugh. I think of Marjorie Taylor Greene driving the bus.
Oh, Jesus.
She will go down as one of the worst human beings in the world. I mean, talk about having a grave with no gravestone. And I mean, really, a gravestone with no gravestone on the back end of a park of a golf course
Yeah.
so you can get a tax refund. How low can you go? But Ivana was terribly protective of her children, and she fought for them, and she took him to court, and she got everything. And even in a movie, she said it was a movie with, what was it, The Worst Wives Tale, First Wives Tale, no, First Wives Club, where she does
Yeah.
a little cameo and she says, "Ladies, don't get even, get everything." And Donald Trump walked out of the courthouse and he said, "You see that bum over there? He has more money than I do." Yeah, because she took all of it, all of it. So I can imagine why. But I mean, there's so many women. I mean, Madame Curie. What would we be without Madame Curie? We'd all be dead. I mean, her and oh, Amelia Earhart is my husband's favorite woman. He said, "Now we have a deal till death do us part." Okay, and sorry, my sleeves. What are they
What are you
doing?
doing?
They're shifting. Okay. Hi, Christopher. Hi, darling. Yeah, she'd be so sad to see those
Oh, poor
kids now.
Christopher. He put a
I
post
do
up the other
believe I
day.
do believe that.
I
Well,
thought,
none of the kids are none. I think, what is it? Baron and Tiffany were the
yeah.
only. And Tiffany, does he
Did you
even know Tiffany's name? I mean,
did you read Christopher's post the other day?
uh-uh.
Christopher had a very long post. Like he was on the ledge. He was
Mm.
on the ledge about the election. I'm
I
just
did
saying,
read it. He was
Christopher,
venting.
get
Yeah,
off the
he
ledge.
had a
We're
lot
with
to
you. We'll
say.
get you through the next 4 years. We're gonna be okay. Um, it's gonna be okay. Really.
As long as they keep those nuclear codes away from that.
But I'm getting some
And
scary
already
vibes by his cabinet pick
Melania
too.
doesn't want to live in the White House, yet she still has plans to rip up that rose garden. What is her problem with flowers? I mean, why does this bitch not like flowers? I love flowers. You give me a basket full of
Why does she wanna
daisies,
do that?
and I'm happy for a year. She last time she was in office, she tore up LBJ's memorial garden. Some of these roses were what do you call it? I'm not very botanically inclined, but they were very, very rare
Rare.
roses.
Mhm.
And she just got out there like Joan Crawford and said, "Christina, get me the axe." And
So
just started tearing up flowers. I mean, she went berserko. And then she covered it with concrete. So when Jill got back, Jill's number one on her to-do list was, "Get that shit out of there. We want the flowers back." So she got the flowers back, but now we don't know. Now we don't know. I just, it is the house of pedophile. It is not the house of pride anymore. I just want to go get 5,000 little flags and hang them upside down and say, "Help, we're in crisis." Because the American flag upside down is in crisis. But yeah,
Well,
Christopher said some beautiful, beautiful words, and um he made his heart known, and I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate that because, I mean, for 10 years we heard, you stole the steel and you stole the steel, and I want a Trump flag in my truck. And I mean, they just went berserko for 10 years. I think we deserve a week. I think we deserve a week to get back and just,
yeah, we're not going to rush the Pentagon or whatever,
no, I think we should all get dressed up on J6 and we should go to
as handmaids.
yeah,
funny
we
would
should
that
all
be?
get dressed up as handmaids and we should redecorate the joint and say, we're going to clean off all this feces that you left behind. Yeah. Because we're those kind of women. We're not afraid to change a dirty diaper. We've done it a million times. Where the hell have you been? Where you been? At work? You couldn't take 5 minutes off of work to change a diaper? I mean, men have this whole getting back to the Mad Max men over women is on borrowed time. It's on borrowed time because we get shit done and they don't.
Well, I think that
They
was my
don't.
biggest disappointment was, I have a daughter and I have a granddaughter,
My
and
girlfriend
someday
has a
I'm
daughter.
probably going to have a
My
great
dog
granddaughter.
walker. My dog
I
walker is
don't
a
want
Republican. I'm
I
like,
don't want this to be
you're
their
a
legacy.
Republican
I
and your
really don't.
daughter is a liberal and your daughter is writing. She's a journalist. And
Mhm.
she's like, Mom, you're wrong. You need to wake up. You need to get woke. I mean it, Mommy. So she sees me and I give her things all the time and I'm always loving on her and hey, there's some white Russians in the fridge. Let's have one. Okay, great. And I love her. And I want her to know that just because we're not the same political affiliate, we're not a bunch of baby killers. We're not a bunch of baby. I can tell you right now, if I were to do a really deep dive, more Republicans have had abortions than Democrats. Because I tell you what, those senators, they don't want them babies. No, they don't want them babies, but they want everybody to have babies. But who's going to take care of them? Who's
I
going to
know.
take care of the
I know.
children right now? The foster homes they're inundated. The foster homes are starving. They've become literally rape camps. And nobody wants these children. Why do you think I'm going to want more? Why do you think I'm going to want, your children? And then you tell me I have to be Mother freaking Teresa to adopt a child? I
Mhm.
mean, give me a break. I don't know. I just think this whole baby thing is bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. You got to have a license to catch a fish. You got to have a license to shoot a deer. You don't have to have any kind of brain cells to have a baby. I mean, you can be the dumbest cow on the
We've
street,
we've well,
and
we've
you can
we've got some
have a
fine
baby.
examples of that.
I know. And look at them. They had a whole generation of them. I
Oh,
mean, find anybody, go to a grocery store and ask anybody who might look like a MAGA. Just ask them, do you know what a tariff is? They don't know what a tariff is. And you know what I'm finding
right.
now? I'm finding all these, oh, I shouldn't have, I
Here's what
maybe
bothers me.
Maybe I shouldn't have voted for Trump. Maybe, I mean, he said he was going to help the Palestinians and he was, and now he's gonna blow them all up, and you know, and he said he was gonna do this, and I was like, you believed a total liar.
And we're going
You
to be
believed
paying
a total liar.
$1.85 for
It's just too
gas,
hot. I
and
can't breathe
groceries are
this
going to
on.
cost 10 cents. All of this is going to happen, Joanna. You know this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And the mass deportations, you can't.
All right. I'm gonna plug
Sorry,
myself.
my hair looks like
All right,
shit. I gotta do
Joanna,
something.
I'm going to plug myself for a second here. I am covering a new trial. I started on Friday with the opening statements. But this is the trial that Donald Trump used during his campaign as an example of how immigrants are coming into our country and killing our citizens. So that's why I'm covering this trial. This was a Venezuelan immigrant who murdered a woman on the University of Georgia campus.
What
So
about the American white people killing people?
I mean, he's one example. I mean, we've got
We're
how
not going to mention
how
them,
many
are we?
cases have I covered this year? Just this will be the only one where there's an immigrant who did. I think I covered one immigrant last year who chased. For some reason, these immigrants like to chase down joggers. The last case I had involving an immigrant over a year ago was also chased down a jogger and murdered her. But they're certainly not in the majority. That's not why they're coming to this country, you know. And
See,
but
this is
here's what bothers me though. Like,
Angie says it.
if you don't even understand how
I hear
government
you, April.
works, you tell people you're going to turn everything over to the states. We're going to let the states decide about abortion. We're going to let the states decide
No,
which books should be on our
they
shelves,
want to cover the whole country.
whether we should have prayer in schools, whether we should do that. Everything's going to be decided by the states. What they don't understand is where the states get their money is from the federal government. So if you get rid of all these departments, where's the money coming from for these states to do all these things? Like, you know.
Well, April made a point. April's father was a Republican, and
Oh, I agree.
was a Republican. I voted for W. You know, I really did, because I thought, you know, maybe he could get things done. But what I was really voting for was Dick Cheney. He was a good president. Dick Cheney got stuff done. And if he didn't, he'd take you out hunting.
I love those hunting trips. Yeah.
Take you out hunting. Watch your head there. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Bubbles. She says Trump also wants to close the fertility clinics when he is anti-abortion. That's
I have to go for a minute. I'm sorry. This is a really important call.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to take her out for just a second while she takes her phone call. April says, Laura, she keeps mixing us up. Sorry about that, Laura and April, but I love Joanna's enthusiasm about this subject. Each week each time we do this podcast, our goal with this podcast is to do it a couple of times a month. Through all of our other obligations that we have with my true crime show and her, she's going to have surgery soon. So, but we're going to try to bring you this podcast with different subjects each time. Tonight's subject is strong women. So if you've got a story about a strong woman, I think we need to keep it going though. We need to keep it going. We need, you know, if there's men out there that are intimidated by us, get over it. We're not going anywhere. We're your mothers, we're your grandmothers. We're not going anywhere. We're going to remain strong, independent women. I don't have a husband, and that's why, because they are intimidated by me. I don't take any bullshit. You want dinner, you go in the kitchen and you cook your dinner, okay? I'll cook it for you if you want me to, but I don't have to. Maybe I don't feel like it tonight, you know? I'm just saying, that was the, I know somebody commented earlier that that's not the reason that she lost the election. But for me, I had to find some way to rationalize what happened. And that was the only thing I could come up with, because she certainly qualified. This woman was a prosecutor, a very, very good prosecutor, and she knows the ins and the outs of government versus a candidate who is out riding around on a garbage truck. Like, so I'm trying. I'm a very intelligent woman, as is Joanne. So I'm trying to figure out, how does this make sense? It's got to make sense to me. And that's the only way I can make it make sense, is that there are people out there, are men out there who don't want a woman in the White House. That's the only thing I can think of, because anyway, that's, and it may or may not be true, but that's how I'm going to get through the next 4 years, by believing that, that she should have won. She should have won. I can understand why people didn't vote for Hillary. I get that. I get that. She was a seasoned politician who had a lot of issues. But she was not this candidate that we just had. So, not even to mention a Black and an Asian woman. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right, Laura. I think they didn't give her enough time, and they won't give her any more time. I don't believe that any woman is going to have the opportunity to be president at least for another 8 years. I don't think they're going to put forth a candidate anytime soon, because I just saw it go horribly wrong, because they put up the best one they could and she lost. Except they could have put up Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama would have should have swept that thing. Oh, let's see what Christopher has to say when we get her off the phone. Girlfriend, are you ready to come back in? Christopher says they're just playing on people's vulnerability of change. Obama, then gay marriage, then HRC nearly won, then Me Too movement, then BLM, then COVID, the anti-trans, anti-books. Yeah, I'm reading Christopher's comment. The immigration. Oh, we got him started. He's on a roll. On top of the news, saying how horrible the economy was for 4 years.
I'm sorry. That was a really important call, and
it's not. We were just chatting.
I'm sorry. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being patient with me.
For that, you get to spend the week as a Martha.
I want to be Lydia.
Oh, you want to be Lydia?
I want to be these girls in the
She wants to be Aunt Lydia.
Yeah, I want to be Aunt Lydia. You want to be a commander's wife, which means you're never going to get laid again. Ever, ever, ever. They never have sex with their wives. They don't. They have sex with the handmaids. Ask them. I'm not kidding. They don't have sex with their wives ever. Ever, ever, ever. Nope. It's like, you hold the hands and I'll hold the feet, and we'll just do this poor hamster to death. I know. If you guys haven't seen The Handmaid's Tale, go binge out and watch The Handmaid's Tale and tell me. I want to know in the comments. Tell me, or tell Rebecca, tell both of us, what part do you honestly think has a relevance to today's society?
Now, you know when that was written, right? That was written in 1985.
It was written years and years ago.
1980s. 1980s.
No, the 70s.
No, it was written in the 80s.
What's her name was in the movie?
No, it was written in the 80s. Like 85, I think.
Oh, was it 85?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's not long enough. That's not long
The
enough.
80s was when my ex called me and said, don't bother to come home because, and he was a police officer. And you know what? So I said to him one day, he calls me up and he's like, back still nursing, and it was always an issue. I'd come home late and I say, listen, I had to do nurses. That's when we did nurses notes, you had to handwrite them, and I was always late because I had to do my nurses notes. So I'd come home and
I had to do this
he'd
every
be
day.
kvetching because I'm not home making dinner, and I'm like, excuse me, when you arrest a criminal, do you tell them I'm going to come back tomorrow to do the police report, or do you
because
say
I've got to be home for
police report?
dinner, and I've got to play Monopoly with my children.
Oh my God!
No, I used to iron when David was a baby. He was on a heart monitor, and when you have a baby on a heart monitor, you can only leave them with a nurse. So I couldn't afford to leave them with a nurse, and I didn't have any money coming in. I couldn't cook. I couldn't do any events. I was screwed. But I had this one big old Shaquille O'Neal. He was huge. He was Shaq. He had a little boy and he said, can you babysit him for me? I started babysitting like 3 or 4 children a week just to make my rent. And I said, sure. So one day Shaq comes in, because I used to call him Shaq all the time. He said, you need to shut up. I have a real name. I was like, I don't care. You're always going to be Shaq. Anyway, Shaq comes in. Now, Rodney and David were the best of friends. They still are. He's 31 years old. They're still close friends, and people like, oh, you have a black friend and he's your best friend and he's been your best friend for 25 years. And it's like, yeah. Anyway,
Imagine
so
that.
Shaq came in and he goes, I don't know how long I'm going to leave Rodney here because my uniform is a wreck. My wife rolled them all up in a ball and she left. She's got drug problems and she left. She just abandoned both him and little Rodney. And I said, okay. And he goes, well, as a state trooper, if your uniform's not perfect, they'll send you home and they won't pay you. And I love to iron. This is a secret thing. I love to iron. I iron tablecloths. I iron napkins. I used to iron John's khaki pants, so the crummy pockets were perfect.
I gotta call bullshit on
everywhere.
ironing. I'm sorry. No, that's what
It
cotton's
was
for, sweetheart.
cathartic for me. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I had a sick baby. I had to watch him. His heart monitor went off every 45 minutes.
Mhm.
So, I could put on a movie and I could iron, and it was cathartic to me. It's a sick thing. I know. Now you couldn't catch me ironing anything.
No.
But
I
my
don't even
ironing
own an
game
iron. I'm sorry, I don't own an iron. No.
No, if you have to
It
iron
needs to
it,
be ironed.
if
It's
you have to
out the
iron
door.
it, don't buy it. Don't
No.
buy it. They sell stuff now. You don't have to iron anymore. But this state trooper was scared out of his mind because his wife had disappeared. She took all of his money. He didn't even have lunch money. I gave him $20. And I said, take this and go buy lunch. And he was like, no, 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 I'm not taking this from you. And I was like, no, look, I got a tip the other day. Somebody gave me some extra money. So, which was a lie. But, I said, just take the $20 and give me your uniform and go in the bathroom for 5 minutes. And he said, okay. What the hell is this lady doing? She about to come on to me.
Absolutely.
I'm a single widow mother, you know.
Like, I ain't got time for that,
And,
honey.
and I'm thinking, once you go black, you never go back. So
That's
I
true.
was like,
True.
no, 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 calm down, calm down. It's not a black thing. It's not a black thing. Give me your uniform. And I cut that iron up to high. I starched the shit out of that thing in 4 minutes, man. He had a beautiful uniform and he went, oh my God, you just saved my job. Thank you. So he said it costs $32 to starch and iron a state trooper's uniform. I said, well, you need to send some of these $32 guys over my way because I only iron them for $10. And I had so many state troopers coming and going. People thought I was like, is she in trouble? Did she murder somebody? Oh my God. Because there's like 8 state trooper cars there. And these are the big ones, the big, And I was like, I lived in the ghetto. I was the only white girl in this whole apartment complex. But the brothers all watched after me. They said, she is a widow. She's a single mother. Hands off. Nobody messes with my girl. And he was sort of like the alpha of the ghetto place. But I was really scared when I first moved in there. I was like, oh my God. But people are people. And these were the kindest people I ever met. They kept me safe from everything. And anyway, so they were really scared when the popo showed up because these guys are drug dealers.
Now,
I
let me
mean,
just ask you a question though. If you were in that situation as a single mother now and got pregnant, where would your life be?
well, I tell you what, I'd have to ask that uterus what the hell happened. I'd get on the Today Show. I'd be like, I have a magic uterus. It's for sale. No, but
But you
but
don't have access to an abortion now. You can't get an
no,
abortion now.
no, I
So
could not.
your life is what it
Matter of
is from this
fact,
point on.
they would check me and find out from my medical records if I wanted to go from Delaware to Kansas to find out if I were pregnant. They're which is a totally against the law according to the HIPAA Act. But
Mhm.
they're finding out these things. And the nurses are in on it too. So be careful what you say to your nurse because you don't know if they're part of it. The Heritage Foundation, they're all over. They're not just in Texas, they're not just in Louisiana, they're not just in the southern states. These people are reading your medical files against your will without your permission and they're sharing them. So, yeah. Color and chat, Joanna. Big dumb
We're
hugs.
boring. We're boring Michelle. She's got to
I'm
go to
going to
sleep.
get some
We're
sleep.
putting her to sleep.
Okay. Good night, my nuts. I love you, girl. Oh, I have a gift card coming for you in the mail. Look for it. It should be there in a couple of days.
So
I've
it
been
is
very, very late on my mailing and my posting. Rebecca knows that. I was supposed to mail her something over a week and a half ago, and I just got it out yesterday because John's got his knee cracked up. He needs surgery now. And then I can't get down the stairs without running out of air because I've got Henrietta, who is, by the way, this size. She's huge. And she's actually growing under my lung. and that's what's keeping me from breathing.
And it is 8:00, so we're gonna keep
Yeah,
this
and
podcast
it's 8
to
o'clock.
an
So
hour.
enough of the
Yeah.
medical trials, but
But
there
if you're
are
watching back
wonderful
on the
women in this
replay,
world, and we
yeah.
need to lift them up. There
Mhm.
are women coming up. AOC, girl, you are not afraid of nobody. AOC must have a pet dragon. I think of her, she's got to be like a consort on the Game of Thrones, because you can't stop that bitch. You cannot. AOC ain't scared of nobody. She's just like, I mean, she could go Kathy Bates and hack that thing off in, before lunch. I mean, really. So I have a lot of faith in her. I have a lot of faith in the women coming up. If you look at the Democratic side, all these women are coming up. They're all learning,
Mhm.
they're struggling, they're fighting, they're ignoring the old white men who are bald, semi bald, and all the way bald,
The
and know
Mr.
nothing
So and
about.
so's of the world. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they know
Yep.
more about golf than they do about policy, about foreign. Ask JD something about foreign policy. Just ask him. Where is Indonesia? Where is the Philippines? Is Scotland and the UK the same country? Is Scotland and Ireland? Because Scotland and Ireland are both coming after old Charlie Bucket. Charlie Bucket's about to lose a bunch of
All
his
right.
shit.
I have to shut
So
her off.
we
Okay.
gotta go. I
But
know we gotta
listen,
go.
if you guys have a topic that you want to hear her and I discussing, if you want to suggest a topic, put it in the
With
comments.
a
We would love
sense
to
of
hear
humor
from
and a
you.
little petty and a little sarcasm.
Yes. And we will be back in a couple of weeks for another episode. You never know what you're going to get. And thank you very much. I'll be live tomorrow at 11.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. And please don't forget to give that little like. We love it. The algorithm loves it. I don't know who algorithm is. I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna do a deep dive and find him. I think he's a teenager
Algorithm
in
is a
his mother's
Republican.
basement. I know. We're gonna find that little guy and start bribing him appropriately. Anyway,
All
I
right.
love you.
Good
I
night,
love you,
everybody.
Jennifer, Mud Nuts, April, everybody who's come to visit. And listen, if I catch you on the replay, mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye. Bye.